You were taught that debt is dangerous, that it traps people, destroys families, and leads to financial disaster. And for most people, that's actually true. But here's the part nobody tells you. The richest people on earth use more debt than anyone else. Billionaires borrow money constantly. Corporations run on borrowed capital. Real estate empires are built almost entirely on debt. So the real question isn't, is debt bad? The real question is this: why does debt make poor people poorer, but rich people richer? Before we break this down, subscribe and like the video if you want to understand the money strategies the wealthy actually use. Because once you see this system, you'll never look at debt the same way again. First, you need to understand the difference between consumer debt and investment debt. Consumer debt is what keeps people stuck. Credit cards, car loans, buying expensive things that immediately lose value. You borrow money to buy something, and the moment you buy it, it starts becoming worth less. Your phone depreciates. Your car depreciates. Your designer clothes depreciate. But the debt stays the same. So you're paying interest on something that is losing value every day. That is how debt destroys wealth. But the wealthy use debt in the exact opposite way. They borrow money to buy assets. Assets are things that generate income or grow in value. Real estate, businesses, stocks, cash-flowing investments. Let's say someone buys a rental property for $500,000. They don't pay cash. Instead, they put down $100,000 and borrow the remaining $400,000 from the bank. Now here's where the magic happens. The tenant pays rent. That rent covers the mortgage, the interest, and often leaves profit. So the investor controls a $500,000 asset while only putting in $100,000. That's leverage. And leverage is one of the most powerful wealth tools in the world. If the property increases just 10% in value, the house becomes worth $550,000. That's a $50,000 gain. But remember, the investor only put in $100,000, so their return isn't 10%. It's 50% on their actual money. That is the power of leveraged debt. But the strategy doesn't stop there. The wealthy also use debt to avoid taxes. Here's something surprising. When rich people need money, they often don't sell their assets. Instead, they borrow against them. Why? Because selling assets usually triggers capital gains taxes. Borrowing does not. Imagine someone owns $10 million in stocks. Instead of selling shares, they take out a loan using those stocks as collateral. They receive millions in cash without creating a taxable event. Meanwhile, their investments continue growing. This strategy is often called buy, borrow, die. Buy assets, borrow against them. And when the owner dies, the assets pass to heirs with tax advantages. This is one reason large fortunes last for generations. But there is another reason debt helps the rich get richer. Inflation. Most people hate inflation because prices rise. But if you have large fixed debts, inflation can actually help you. Imagine you borrow $1 million today. Over the next 20 years, inflation slowly reduces the real value of that debt. You're paying back the loan with cheaper money. Meanwhile, the asset you bought with the loan often increases in value. So inflation silently transfers wealth toward asset owners. And that's exactly who the wealthy are. But here is the critical warning. Debt is not automatically good. Used incorrectly, it's one of the fastest ways to destroy your finances. If an investment doesn't generate cash flow, If interest rates rise, or if asset prices crash, debt can become extremely dangerous. That's why the wealthy focus on cash-flowing assets and controlled leverage, not reckless borrowing. Debt is a tool. In the hands of someone who understands money, it can build massive wealth. In the hands of someone chasing lifestyle and consumption, it becomes a financial trap. The difference isn't the debt. The difference is what the debt buys. So the next time someone says, all debt is bad, remember this. Debt is the engine behind most fortunes in the world, but only when it's used to acquire assets, not liabilities. If you want more insights into the real strategies behind wealth, subscribe to the channel and like the video. Because the financial rules the rich play by are very different from the ones most people were taught.